Amrita Research Center is a medical and translational research center located in the Delhi NCR region, which is a state-of-the-art facility that is integrated with another big state-of-the-art hospital. The advantage of such an ecosystem is that we can have research covering the entire span of basic research to medical products. A lot of institutions look at lab-based research and teaching, but there are very few institutions that look at the entire spectrum, looking at basic research, manufacturing, preclinical research, regulatory research, going all the way to clinical research. All of this is necessary if we have to generate medical products that is of use to the community. This facility is something that is more recently happening in India. If you look at the 80s and 90s, there were hardly any advanced research center that looks at all aspects of medical research. And today we have institutions that have come up that can cater to advanced research for students. So students do not necessarily have to go abroad to get that kind of specialized training, but they can actually have it here in India. So this center, when I say translational, it means from lab to bedside. Lab meaning laboratory-based basic research, bedside meaning the needs of the patient. So in order to have that whole span, there are a lot of components that are required, and those are the research and teaching components or training components that are covered in our courses. Now, there are a couple of types of courses that you take. One is a PG course. It's MSc or Master of Science in Translational Medicine. So it equips the student with the entire gamut of skills and training that are required, not only to do basic medical research, but also help in the development of medical products, whether it is drugs, whether it is implants, whether it is diagnostics, therapeutics. All of that is covered in this MSc in Translational Medicine course. We also have a PhD or a Doctor of Philosophy in Translational Medicine, where students do advanced translational research. So there's a lot of fundamental aspects of research, but they also involve in manufacturing and so on. So in order to create such an ecosystem, what this center has, which is very unique and probably the first in India, is that we have, in addition to state-of-the-art basic research labs, we have a GMP or a good manufacturing practice, manufacturing center for manufacturing drugs, manufacturing diagnostic kits, and also we have a preclinical lab. By preclinical, it means basically testing our research ideas and research developments in the lab on animals. It could be mice, it could be rabbits, guinea pigs. Without such a facility, it is impossible to take the research all the way through to patients. If you realize, every single development in medical research happens through preclinical research. So all these facilities now make it possible in this facility to get trained, to do advanced research, and become productive members of society. So if one other aspect I want to mention that such a facility creates is that if you look at the 80s and 90s and earlier, there were really only two options. You either went and did your MBBS in clinical medicine, or you went to an engineering school. There was not a diversity of options that are available. Today, with the kinds of facilities that have been set up, students can actually look at other options. In MBBS, for example, there are 2 million applicants through the NEET process, only 100,000 seats in the country. That's because students don't quite understand the other opportunities that are there in this country that can help them create a very productive and successful career. Furthermore, if you go into MBBS, you're looking at 10 to 15 years of training before you can really be part of a very productive, application-oriented contributor to patients. Whereas here, students have the option to do state-of-the-art work in a much shorter time frame. So within 5 years, you'd be up and running either in a company, in a university, or a research center, contributing in a very, very productive way. So the investment, therefore, in terms of the student investment in time and money is much less. I'm not saying that MBBS is something that should not be applied for. It's a fantastic option for those who are interested in clinically contributing to patients, but that isn't the only thing. There are also options in developing drugs, developing implants, developing diagnostic kits. The clinicians, the doctors in the hospitals are relying on us to come up with the products, come up with the research, develop new drugs, and so on. So the last thing I want to add is the innovative nature of our program. We are not looking at traditional medical research. We are looking at the new state-of-the-art medical research that involves personalized medicine, which means medicine that is right for that person but may not be right for the other person. We are looking at precision medicine, that is medicine that focuses on the diseased areas of the body and not a systemic treatment of the entire body. For example, if you take chemotherapy, you're not only killing the cancer cells, but you're also damaging a lot of the cells all over the body. And so this toxicity is a very big problem in a lot of medicines and serious diseases. So if you look at precision medicine, you're focusing only on the damaged tissue or the cancer. So precision medicine, research and manufacturing. If we have to scale up a drug that has been discovered and essentially validate it, test it, all in a completely clean room setting, you absolutely need to have a specialized training in precision medicine and personalized medicine. So these kind of facilities that are there are different, focuses more on advanced medical research that is today going on, not only in India, but all over the world. You have, for example, you have biotherapeutics. That is, you're taking basically material from patients, like cells from patients, then you take it, bring it to the lab, you modify it, you make them more active or more energized, inject it back into the patient, and the patient does extremely well. You have therapies that are called immunotherapy, which is therapy where you strengthen the immune system in a very specific way to deal with a specific disease. So, for example, immunotherapy for cancer is giving years and years of additional life to many cancer patients. And all of that is actively going on here in the center. The other part is computational and artificial intelligence, which is now the mainstay in research in any area or any field of research, and medical is no exception. Computational biology, artificial intelligence, looking at genomics, which is the molecular gene landscape of a human being, and figuring out what are the specific mutations or specific traits in the genomics that are very critical and very important for treating medicine, requires artificial intelligence. And all of this is being done here. So we have that diversity of experience that we give students, the lab experience, the translation experience in manufacturing, the animal studies experiment, as well as the basic research. And finally, this has to be emphasized, this is connected to a hospital. So essentially, students have the opportunity to test some of their products in clinical human trials. And that requires the student to go through a regulatory approval process, GMP manufacturing. It's such an exciting thing to do a human clinical trial design. How many patients are we going to, what kind of patients are we going to test it on? What is the actual test protocols that should be used so that the patient is benefited and we can basically validate the medicine. Where else are you going to get such a broad exposure? And with an exposure like this, the student can look at so many different opportunities in the workplace. A student can look at being an executive in charge of drug development. That includes personalized medicines, immunotherapy, an executive in charge of manufacturing, drug manufacturing at scale up. And they also can do basic research in many research labs and be involved in basically research and R&D work. They can also join universities and go into a teaching research profession and train the next generation of scientists that have this kind of translational capability. And finally, they can work in a variety of hospitals such as in molecular diagnostics labs, clinical molecular diagnostics labs. With the skills that they have, they would really understand what the needs of the hospital are and the needs of the research are, so that they can integrate all this. So the opportunities lie in pharmaceutical companies, in biotech companies, in IT companies that are involved in medical IT, healthcare, digital healthcare, and the opportunities now in India are not only that, there are startups. There are 150,000 startups all over India. And out of and these startups are employing almost 15 lakh students or skilled professionals. So the job market in India is not what it was decades ago. And so in our center, we're integrating the current ecosystem in India with the best training facilities that you can have. And we hope and invite you to apply to our center and join, not necessarily only for taking degree programs, but to be part of the research, to involve with us, to collaborate with us. And if you have any questions, certainly please feel free to contact us. All the best and best wishes for your career.